Good day, everyone, from wherever you are turning in. This is Fran and Marina as we bring you number 29 of the Hopenning. And our beautiful Marina will be talking today about forgiveness. But let's introduce ourselves. I am a part-time rapid transformational therapy practitioner. And I am also a 33-year veteran teacher teaching elementary aged students in Northern Alberta, Canada. And my beautiful co-host Marina is a full-time rapid transformational therapy practitioner, clinician,
certified hypnotherapist.
certified hypnotherapist. She just got her certification. So congratulations with that. Marina also is a wonderful singer. Her mom says that she was singing before she could talk. And she also sings with a big band and also has a part-time Christmas caroling business. So welcome, Marina.
Thank you, friend.
You're welcome. And we today, as I said, are talking on the topic of forgiveness for the month of June. And I don't know about you, Marina, but I have many opportunities to learn this lesson of forgiveness this month. How about yourself?
It is so interesting, Fran, because you and I talked about that the other day. Is the moment we opened this, it's like the test in forgiveness came to you last week and me this week. And it's absolutely fascinating and amazing. And I would like to talk today about one of the most amazing tools I discovered in forgiveness. And there is a legendary story of a man known as, I may butcher his name, Dr. Ihalikala Hugh Len. I will just call him Dr. Len from here, who cured every patient in a criminal insane ward in Hawaii, in the Hawaii State Hospital, without ever seeing a single patient. And this may seem, I'm quoting here, a little insane, but upon having a closer look, the story speaks for itself. Now, Dr. Len, he set up an office within the hospital to review his patients' files. And while he looked at the files alone, he would work on himself, and over 4 years, the patients all healed. In addition, the staff who had been coming to work, would also feel that they are healed. Or I'm misquoting it. The staff who had been coming to work, with sick or quit, eventually loved coming to work. Mm-hmm. So, and he used the legendary Hawaiian healing and cleansing method, Ho'oponopono, to accomplish this. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Ho'oponopono is called the Hawaiian secret of forgiveness. I've heard it called the Hawaiian parable of forgiveness. And it comes from words that are put together. Now, the verb to make in the Hawaiian language is ho, H-O''O. And the word for right is pono. And if they repeat the right, the pono, it's to make something double right. So ho'oponopono means to make something double right. So Dr. Len repeated the words, I love you, I'm sorry, over and over again, while reviewing all the individual files of the inmates. And after a few months, the patients who were shackled were allowed to walk freely because something shifted in them. They were taken off medication, and even hopeless cases eventually were released back into society. The word spread, and lately Dr. Joe Vitale discovered this, and he co-wrote a book with Dr. Len on this topic called Zero Limits. Mm-hmm. And so there are courses from Dr. Joe Vitale that you can take. But if you go and search Ho'oponopono, I'm going to pull it up on the screen here. Then you can see the words here. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Now I want to tell you a personal story or a few stories in my own life. I discovered this principle in an interview I saw. Is it Marcy Smirnov? I cannot remember her name. And Natalie Ledwell. And Natalie Ledwell is one of my all-time favorite people. She was instrumental in my life. And they talked about the Ho'oponopono and how when you start to apply the principles of the Ho'oponopono in your life, so much can happen. And I had a little notebook and I wrote it down and I started to apply that. And I was at a conference in Dallas in 2018. And there was somebody in my life I haven't spoken to for a while, just because there was so much hurt happening between us. And while I was at this conference in Dallas, I had this very clear vision of an act of forgiveness happening with this person. I flew back to Canada, and as I turned my phone on at the Calgary airport, there was this message from this person. And it was spewing hatred and painful things towards me. And up until that point, I would have been devastated. And then I called my husband, and my husband said, I just got a message from this person telling me what a horrible person you are. Now, thank goodness, my husband really knows me. And what do you want me to do? I said nothing. I went home and I repeated, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Up until that point in my life, it would have been, how dare you? Who do you think you are? You're a horrible person. I'm right. You are wrong. But the energy shifted and I refreshed myself. I took my time and I took my phone and I made a video for this person. And I said, I'm so sorry that I've hurt you so much, that you felt the need to send that message. Please forgive me. Thank you for being in my life. And I've learned tremendous lessons from having you in my life. And I love you. And that's all I said. Nothing more, nothing less. It was about 2 hours later when I received a message from her. And she said, who are you and what have you done with Marina? And there was some reconciliation there. Now that is one small example of how this worked in my own life. And it's something that I bring into my practice with my clients almost every single day. Whenever I feel there is this thing, if you guide them to the place of saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. So Fran, I want to put you on the spot. Let's walk you through anything. Is there a situation today in your life that you would love to set free?
Actually, one that happened to me this very week. And I won't go into full detail about it, but it floored me. And because it was like you, kind of a verbal attack through text messaging on my character. And it was so against something that I work really hard at. But this person told me that I was rude, that I was insensitive. And it was interesting because it was it was a lot. And I was just floored by it because it was so unexpected. And, I really took a long time to process it all. It was because it was so, that message really triggered something in me to be so sad. I was so sad that she had sent that to me. And I just went through a whole bunch of stuff about why would she do that to me? what is going, eventually I could turn it around and say what's going on with her, that she would do that she would say that. It's not my thing, it's hers. I know that. But what is going on in the universe, right? Because we're all about forgiveness this month. And I finally came to the realization today, after doing a lot of soul searching, that she felt comfortable enough to release her trigger on me. For whatever reason, at that moment, she felt comfortable enough with me that she believed that I could take it. Whereas maybe others that had been triggering her in small amounts throughout the day, maybe she did not feel comfortable with them, but she allowed herself to trigger on me because she felt that she knew that I could take it.
Right.
That's how I reconciled myself with it.
So I want you, Fran, to close your eyes for a minute, and anybody who's listening to us today, close your eyes for a minute. And
okay.
I want you to visualize this person in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then repeat after me, I am so sorry.
I am so sorry.
That I was available for you.
That I was available for you.
To unleash your triggers towards me.
To unleash your triggers towards me.
And I'm sorry that I took it personally.
And I'm sorry I took it personally.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
For being hurt.
For being hurt.
Thank you for being in my life.
Thank you for being in my life.
And that I can grow through this.
And that I can grow through this.
I love you. Now, how does that feel?
Well, I did take a deep sigh at the end of it, for sure.
Right. Right. So in this journey that I'm walking, I am all about when I get memories of things that has really upset me in my past. And if I know I'm still holding on to that, to do this. So it was in around 1990 when I sang opera in Bloemfontein, and there was a very, very hurtful incident and a misunderstanding and a misrepresentation. And I got sick, and we were in production. We were still in stage rehearsals, and I got really sick. I had bronchitis. And the doctor did not want me to go to opera and rehearsals, and I felt so bad. And in the circumstances in my life, that was my lifeline. I loved being there. I loved every moment. I did not want to go home. I was there early. I would leave late. I did not want to go home because that was my escape. And so I got sick. And I fought against taking time off. And the doctor just said, no, you have to. So finally, I agreed to taking Friday and Saturday rehearsals off. And ended up, because of circumstances, going to a friend's work team building gathering in a park with a blanket and a pillow. And I slept under a tree. But somebody in the opera saw me. And they made an assumption that I was playing hooky. And I got in tremendous trouble. And there were two people specifically who called me. They were in management. They called me in, and they reflected a lot of disappointment in me and a lot of anger in the circumstances. I've let them down without me standing up for myself at that point in my life. So a few years ago, I stumbled upon one of those people on Facebook, and I decided to write the Ho'oponopono to him. And over the last week, and it's like you said, ever since we brought up the subject of forgiveness, it's like the universe is just bringing opportunity to us. Over the last week, the other person was triggered in my memory, and lo and behold, there he is on Facebook. And both of these people were so appreciative of hearing from me. And it really touched me so deeply, because the last guy, just a few days ago, his words were, "Thank you for setting yourself and me free."
Mm.
That touched me so deeply. And then I had a tremendous test, and you know about this. Somebody in my life who, without going in details, most people will be shocked if they know who this is. I was, somebody pocket dialed me, and I was hearing this person saying absolute vile things about me. But I've been living and breathing forgiveness and the Ho'oponopono, the 4 agreements not to take anything personally. I've been practicing it for years now. And Fran, there was no pain. There was no sting. There was no ill feeling. There was no resentment. There was no sense of, oh, poor me. I had a moment of laughing out loud. And then afterwards, I realized I have love for this person. I can honestly say, I'm so sorry that you're feeling so strongly about me. I must have hurt you deeply. Please forgive me. You are the one person I have learned more from than anybody else on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really love you. And I feel so free. This has been a week of absolute victory to me, that all the work I've been doing has paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the power of forgiveness. I cannot only credit the Ho'oponopono. There are so many influences, but the Ho'oponopono was definitely a huge difference maker in my life.
Mm-hmm. And I really like the way you say, "I am sorry," and then you kind of fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I told you my situation, your fill in the blank for what comes after "I am sorry" was different than what you used for this other person who pocket dialed you and said a bunch of nasty things. So how do you know how to frame the "I am sorry, please forgive me" part? Like, how do you know how to do it?
I really read the situation, and so you will understand, Fran, that sometimes we deal with clients who are so deeply hurt, and if you tell them you need to forgive somebody, they will not be receptive to it. But if you help them to understand that it may be just a perception from your part, and help them to understand, all you need to do is say, "Sorry that I perceived you as," let's give an example, "I perceive that you are hating me. Please forgive me for that." So it really depends on the situation, and then reading the individual situation. And you can give me examples, and I can tell you what I would think there is.
Okay. So if somebody died in your life, and that was a heavy burden on your heart. This is just an example.
Yeah.
Someone died, it was a heavy burden. You had not gone to visit them in the last whatever, and then because you held resentment towards them for whatever reason, and you're resenting them, you're mad at them, and then they die, and you're never able to get closure on it. You're never able to do Ho'oponopono on that person in real life. You're not able to write them a letter. You're not able to phone them. You're not able to, in your own growth, you can come to a place where you're ready to say this, but they're not there anymore. What would you do?
Nothing prevents you from still writing to them. At this moment in life, they have moved on, but you are still here. That hurt is still real in your life. Nothing prevents you from still saying to them, I'm so sorry that I resented you to the point where I did not say goodbye to you. Please forgive me, wherever you are. Thank you that I'm learning through this experience. I really regret that you passed. And I love you.
Mm-hmm.
It's liberating.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always that I recommend for people to go to the person that has hurt them and say it out loud, because sometimes the other person is not ready to accept it. Sometimes it can open a big can of worms. I did give some real examples in my own life today, but it's not always necessary to confront the person who have hurt you. It's necessary to release yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can ask me, what if I have a rape victim?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell a rape victim to take their power back and say, I am so sorry that I gave you power over me for so long. That incident happened. I forgive myself for allowing you to have that power over me. Thank you for showing me how strong I am.
Mm-hmm.
I love myself enough to set myself free. Self-forgiveness, a lot of times we feel that we have done things that we cannot forgive ourselves for. Tell yourself, Marina, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. Tell it to yourself, look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Name the
Mm-hmm.
situation, set yourself free, feel it. Feel it
Mm-hmm.
into your heart, breathe it.
Mm-hmm.
It is life-changing.
Mm-hmm. I think that every drop of I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, every drop, even though it doesn't feel like you've changed any, it doesn't feel any different than it did yesterday. It didn't, I just don't feel any better yet. The drops add up.
Right.
And eventually your cup is full enough that
Right.
you can be authentic and genuine. And then it's hitting you. It's like, yeah, like your story as well. You had worked on this a long time. You had worked on the forgiveness, on the Ho'oponopono a long time before you were able to laugh at it and know you were truly free.
It's been years. It's been literally years. And it was such a gift to me to understand how free I am.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that happens to us as we start looking deeply and trying stuff like this and trying and doing the work, right? The emotional work, working on ourselves, because it's not out there, it's in here, because people continuously throughout our lifetime, no matter how wonderful we are going to treat us in such a way that we're going to question question our own goodness, our own kindness, our own wonderfulness. And doing the practice continually, just keep on doing the practice, is just so paramount, because eventually it clicks for all of us. And when we don't react, right? If we don't phone them back and say, hey, you just pocket dialed me, what? It just shows what kind of person you are, all of that kind of stuff. We don't react. We react in such a loving, kind manner, we send that out. And, we get back what we give. So if we are portraying a being of light, a being of beauty and kindness and gentleness and acceptance, regardless, we will get that back. Our own cup will be full. If it's the law of the universe. And so for those people who have tried this, I tried this Ho'oponopono a couple times and it didn't make any difference. What words of advice would you give?
Try different ways. Try it until you can feel that release in your soul. Try it. Yeah, change the wording. I believe that all that's happening is there's a shifting of energy. I believe that any negative energy is very heavy. If I have a client who's struggling with weight, I tell them, don't weigh yourself when you're down. Weigh yourself when you're happy, because happy energy, when you feel good, it's light. Heavy energy, when you're depressed, when you don't feel good about yourself, it's heavy. It physically weighs more. You can test it. And it's exactly the same. If you feel that heaviness, friend, we've all been in that situation where something happens. You've been there today. Something happens and you feel like there's deep despair grip your heart and you don't really know how to get out of it. You feel like it's the end of the world. And you're so wrapped up in that moment that you don't really know how to get all of it, out of it. And if you can at some point shift the energy in that situation, shine the light on it, everything changes. So if you tell me the Ho'oponopono is not working, don't give up. If you shift that energy, it's going to work. In the situation that I was in last week with a pocket dial from the person, that situation I've worked on for decades. I have forgiven that person so many times on so many levels. Honestly, the Bible says 70 times 7 times forgiveness. I have by far done way more than that. And it was only until I could say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. Now there's a higher story here. And in the path that I walk, I see the dimensions. I can see that when you are looking at all of this from that human place of hurt, it's going to be tough. But if you allow yourself to shift perspective a little bit, it becomes easier. So I can let you do another little exercise that I do with my clients. So if you tell me that you are so hurt by this person, there's no way that you're willing to say, I am sorry. I'm going to ask you, imagine, so close your eyes for me again, friend. And imagine that you walk to a hot air balloon and you can see your feet, feel your feet, and hear your feet as you walk to it. It's a beautiful, bright sunshine day. There's no wind. You climb into this basket. There's a gate. You close the gate behind you. You secure it. And then you hear this flame. You feel the flame, the heat of the flame. In your mind's eye, you see this flame. And now you start to go higher and higher. And for us who live in cities, it's easy to imagine that white noise, the ambulances, the dogs barking, the busy city life, that noise just becomes quieter as if somebody's turning the volume button down. Now, I want you to imagine that hurtful situation you were in today, the volume was just turned down on it. The perspective changed. Now you're high up in the sky. The houses are smaller. The noises is dimmed. And you have a different perspective. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of quiet. And now look at that situation with a different perspective. Are you able to say, I'm sorry I took that so seriously? Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. That just now you can come back, friend, but just by changing that perspective, just by allowing yourself to get out of that pain, to imagine that you're going in a hot air balloon, if there's something that's really bothering you and you cannot get beyond that thing that bothers you, or a pain of somebody that has hurt you tremendously, imagine that as you are rising up in that hot air balloon, you can look over and you can see there's this big rope that's holding you down, and that rope is tied to the situation or to the person who has hurt you. And then you imagine you're taking a massive machete and you chop that rope right off. And then you go, you fly away.
And I did exactly that, because there was 3 ropes holding me down.
Amazing.
Right? So it's like, okay, in my analytical mind, it was like, okay, I can't release even with the hot air,
right,
until I chopped those ropes off. So I did. And as I lifted off the ground, I imagined this person's face getting smaller and smaller and smaller and
right.
smaller as I lifted off the ground, and they were just a little speck that went into one of the houses below. And then I was off in the air with a beautiful blue sky above me. And
it's an amazing exercise. I'm glad you could get something out of that.
yeah, I like how you also told me what sounds to hear, because I think about some of our viewers who are watching this. I'm quite a visual person, but I know that there are other people who are more auditory, right? Auditory people. And so if you can't get the visual, get the auditory, get the sound of your feet on the grass as you walk towards the balloon, get the sound of the machete cutting those ropes, and the whoosh of the heat as it enters the balloon, and the sounds of the sirens and the dogs and all of that, lessening and lessening and lessening as you rise away from whatever it was that was holding you down so bad, and waiting, the weighting you down. Yeah, it's lovely.
So as soon as you can create a bit of a distance emotionally, whether it is just in an imaginary hot air balloon, you can so much easier see a different perspective. And if the I am sorry is for, let's say, for example, overreacting to a situation, I'm sorry that I overreacted to it. Please forgive me. I'm so grateful that I have learned this situation. And sometimes the hardest one I find is that I love you. It's very difficult to say I love you to somebody who has hurt you. And at that point, I would tell the client, tell it to you. Tell yourself, I love you.
I love you, Marina, or I love you, Fran. I love you. And as you were speaking, it was also, at that point, it can be, I am sorry. You could say this Ho'oponopono really to your higher power. So whatever your higher power is, God or Jesus or the universe, I am sorry, Lord, that I didn't see this situation as a gift to me, that it is a gift to me because I learned so much from it about myself and about others. So please forgive me for not accepting your gift as a gift and seeing it as a encumbrance, right? Something heavy and weighting me down for hours and hours and hours. Thank you for showing me again how much you love me and how wonderful I am as a person, and reminding me of that again. And I love you, Lord. Love you.
I would even say that you can think of even difficult situations at work and journal this. If there's somebody at work that is making life difficult for you, say, I am so sorry that I'm allowing you to make my life difficult.
Mm-hmm.
In standing up for me, making a stand for me, I'm going to ask you to forgive me for it as I forgive myself. Thank you for teaching me how strong I am. And for that, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple, yet so profound. I have seen reconciliation between parents and children. I have seen people being completely set free. I have seen so much hurt just being put in a completely different perspective. And, friend, my beliefs are different, as a very spiritual person, yet not really religious. I believe that we are all here to grow. And I believe that all of us have one chance at this life. And that part of what we're doing here is to grow in a direction, to walk our journey. And I believe that each one of us are here on our own journey. Nobody can carry our journey with us. Now, it's easy for me to say because I'm in an extremely happy and loving marriage. However, I still know that my husband cannot take any responsibility for the choices I make, for the life I live. He cannot walk my journey for me. He can walk alongside me, but he still can walk his own journey. When he gets upset about something, I cannot change that for him. And if I get upset about something, he cannot change it for me. It's still my journey. We have not been together from the first breath we took. And chances are we're not going to be together until the last breath we give. So at the end of the day, all people come into our lives with a purpose. And a lot of times that purpose is to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So find the lesson, your growth. It's your growth. Find your lesson in every situation. What is the lesson in this hurtful situation? And then once you find that lesson, are you able to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because as I walk this planet, I am going to encounter more and more situations that I need to learn from, because for whatever reason, I'm not there yet.
Right.
So I will encounter more, I will keep on encountering situations that show me again what I need to see.
And it's just growth. One of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, she taught me that it's not failure, it's feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really profound to me, because we will learn until the last day. It's a journey we are on. We will not reach that point of fulfillment until our last breath. We will still learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I believe too that everything happens for us, not to us,
Right.
for us.
Right.
So if we can look at every situation from that set of lenses, rather than why me?
Right.
Why me again?
Right.
It's happening for me, not to me.
Exactly.
So yeah. Well,
What
thank you.
an amazing journey.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those stories with us and helping us. I also love the meditations, the two of them, the closing my eyes and experiencing those meditations as well. I love it. And so do you have one last word for our viewers, or one last little thing that you'd like to tell our viewers tonight about forgiveness and Ho'oponopono?
Well, Ho'oponopono is just something I would always keep in my back pocket. I think having this close to there are two things in my life that I always have close to me, and it's on my wall in my office here, the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And then the other one is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. Keep it in your back pocket in any difficult situation. Use it as your tools. Keep that vibration high. Think to yourself, is my energy at this moment so light that I can go weigh myself and I will be lighter? Or is it so heavy that I better avoid the scale? Ask yourself those questions. And any situations we get ourselves in, doesn't matter what it is, can really be healed by this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And as we go into the last part of June in northern Alberta and in southern Alberta, is coming up next week?
We have some guests lined up. We will announce it as we go.
Sure.
And so very excited to keep continuing on this journey, talking about I want to call it the magic of forgiveness.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and insight today, Marina. It's always a blessing and a privilege to listen to you and to remind myself again who I am and how I can walk my journey, through life, and how I can remember that everybody else is on their own journey as well.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, Fran, because I think one of my favorite lines of late for myself and my clients is, remember who you are. Always remember who you really are. Be true to that.
Okay.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone who joined us today on the Hopenning, a place where you open your heart and mind and soul to hope, to just free yourself and make our journeys easier. Talk soon.